And everybody is muted. All right, here we go. So welcome Thursday night, rest and reset, or whatever day of the week it is you choose to roll with this recording. You're going to need a strap if you've got one, a blanket, and 2 bolsters. If you only have 1 bolster, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay because we can compromise. We can improvise and we can compromise with 1 bolster. If you've got 2, great. Otherwise, don't sweat it, but 1 would be sufficient. And tonight we are moving into the neck and the shoulders, but primarily focusing on the neck and range of motion in the neck, loosening up the muscles that support the back of the cervical spine, which would be primarily the upper trapezius fibers, the muscles that support the sides of our neck and the cervical spine. So we're talking about the SCM, which is fancy acronym for sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is a fun mouthful to say, and your scalenes as well. So we're going to begin with several rounds of low-lying somatic movement, just to get some rocking and rolling happening a little bit in the hip joints so that we don't completely ignore the lower body, but primarily emphasizing rocking gently and rolling gently on the scapula and the shoulder girdle. Then, after a good bit of time rolling around on the floor, loosening up the tissues that surround the spine and the muscles and the bones and the joints of the shoulder girdle. Then we'll go into just a couple of long restorative holds, which is when you'll utilize your bolster and your strap. So onto the floor we go. Get yourself set up with whatever sort of accoutrement you need to bring the good juju into your room, whether that's lighting a candle or queuing up your Spotify. I almost said show tunes, but no, don't queue up the show tunes. The spa tunes, something like that, something really mellow. And then come onto your back with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Oh. You can have your feet about sitting bone distance apart. And right now, knock your knees inward so that they rest against one another. Bring your hands to your trunk, one hand to your lower belly, just below your navel, and one hand to your low ribs. And without falling into the desire to want to manipulate your breath right away, just simply kick back, relax on the floor, and follow the pattern of your breath, whatever pattern that is. Noticing the texture. And maybe the quality of heavy or light. We'll let our breath continue to just roll through its own rhythm, its own pace. And we'll take a quick body scan starting at our feet, moving our awareness up and over our knees and sliding down the femur bones into the hip sockets. Migrating horizontally along our spine. Stepping over each vertebrae. with our awareness until we get up into our shoulder girdle. Finding your scapula on the mat and just noticing if one feels heavier than the other, or if there's any agitation or kind of discomfort or stickiness. Notice your ears, so moving up from your shoulders. And are your ears equal distance from the floor? Does your head naturally want to tilt or roll to the right or to the left? At the same time, notice if your ears are equal distance from your shoulders. Maybe the head wants to tilt or gravitate. Maybe the muscles along that side of your neck are just a little tighter, maybe just a little more amped up from, I don't know, holding the phone or looking at your computer in one direction more than the other. And then you can separate your knees until they're in the same plane as your hips and your heels. And bring your arms down by your sides, palms turned up. And finding once again the pattern of your breath, we'll start to move our spine with the respiration as you inhale, arching your lower back away from the floor, inviting your chin to tilt down towards your chest. Exhaling, rounding your lower back into the mat, letting your chin slightly tilt upwards towards the ceiling. And keep going. You'll keep your butt on the floor the whole time, but you will find some space underneath your lumbar spine as you breathe in. And softly compressing your lumbar vertebrae into the sticky mat as you breathe out. We'll keep going, finding a rhythm to your body and your breath. Great, let's go one more time. Finally settling into what is a neutral spine for you. Let your knees drop inward once more. Place your hands once again at your trunk, one on the belly, one on the low ribs. And simply just check in, notice what, if anything's shifted, altered, changed, or adjusted. And take your arms straight out like a T. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Let's do a few windshield wipers with our legs, breathing in, taking your knees to the left. Keeping your right shoulder down. Exhale, come back through center. And take your knees to the right when you inhale. If you want to turn your head opposite your knees, that's up to you if your neck allows for it. I wouldn't force your head too far in any one direction. Just invite it to roll from side to side, gently loosening up the tissues around your cervical spine. When your knees go over to the right this next time, let that signify your last round. Find your way back to neutral. Walk your feet to your mat once more. Let's move into the somatic rock, taking your arms straight up to the ceiling, crossing your forearms in front of your chest so that opposite hands gently take a hold of opposite elbows. This is your inhale. Your arms will glide to the right. As you exhale, your knees will fall to the left. Bring yourself back through center, inhaling. And take your elbows to the left and your knees to the right, exhaling. Good. A couple more times from side to side. Invite your head to turn with your arms. When your arms are going to the left and your knees to the right, let's stay put for several breaths. Breathing into the muscles around your right shoulder, the outer arm, into your upper back. Good. So I'm going to have you come back up to center. Keep your hands at your elbows, but just sweep your arms, your forearms, up over your forehead and make a big circle to the right. And then bringing your forearms down towards your chest, over to the left. So we're just making these big clockwise circles 3 times. Listening for any noise in your joints. Good. And then pause at center so that you can change the cross of your forearms. And here we go again, inhaling. We're going to pick up where we left off. So you'll exhale, taking your arms to the left, knees to the right. Coming back through center. Arms to the right, knees to the left. Great. 2 more times from side to side. And finally, taking your arms to the right, your knees to the left, and we'll stay for several breaths. Acknowledge what's happening in your jaw, if there's tension or any clenching. Give your jaw permission to loosen up a little. Maybe dropping your bottom teeth away from your top teeth. So here we go. On the inhale, you'll come back to center, taking your forearms up over your forehead, and then 3 big circles to the left and down, over to the right with the elbows, and then up and overhead. 2 more big circles, as big as you want to make them. Feet stay on the floor, knees remain looking to the ceiling. Great. And then release your hands from your elbows, bring your hands back to one to your belly, one to your low ribs, and once more, let your knees fall inward and rest against one another. Very nice. I'm going to have you roll over to your left side now. Bend your knees and stack your knees one on top of the other. In fact, this is a good opportunity, as good as any, to grab a bolster, a rectangle one if you have it, and slide that between your knees and your ankles. You're going to take your hands behind your head with a soft clasp to your fingers, interlacing your fingers. And then draw your right elbow towards your left elbow. And notice when you do that, if you'll keep your neck, just really, really gentle and at ease, let your head kind of roll into the safety of your forearms. Then when you breathe in, you'll take your right elbow up and back. Let your head roll into your hands. When you exhale, sweep your right elbow up and over again, reaching it towards the floor. Allow your head to lift up, but always in the safety of your hands and forearms. And then roll your right elbow up and back again. And close. Right elbow up and over towards the floor. We're going to go 3 more times for a total of 5. Whole time your head remains supported between your palms and your forearms. So there's no strain, very little, ideally no strain on your neck. But there's certainly a side bend happening in the neck. Two more times. As you bring that right elbow forward and reach it towards the floor, the right side of your neck gets shortened. There's a contraction happening. And then when we inhale, the right side of the neck can open up. And then let's stay in this twist with the right elbow reaching out to the right. Back of your head cradled in your hands. Bring your right elbow up and over. Last time, reaching your right elbow towards the floor. And let's stay for just a couple of breaths. Right side of the neck, slightly shorter than the left. Good. Excellent. You can release your hands. Gently roll onto your back and let's change sides. Coming over onto your right hip, right shoulder. Bring the bolster with you so that you can sandwich it between your lower limbs. Hands come together at the back of your head. This time your left elbow is going to reach towards the floor, shortening the left side of your neck. Breathing in, left elbow sweeps up and over. And breathing out, left elbow comes over to the floor. So we'll go 4 more times for a total of 5, moving slowly and deliberately, noticing how this side might present or move differently than the previous side. And when you get around to your 5th time, we're going to stay in the twist with the elbows open far apart. And let's bring the left elbow up and over. Last time, reaching the left elbow towards the floor beyond your right elbow, cradling your head between your hands and your forearms, and stay here for a couple of breaths. Contracting the left side of your neck, lengthening the right side of your neck. Great. And release your hands. I'm going to have you come to your belly. On your belly, you can bring your blanket up to the top of your sticky mat. I'm going to have you turn your head to the right. If the blanket's comfortable for you, great. You can rest your head on the blanket. If you prefer your head on your mat, that's fine as well. Let your arms rest in whatever shape feels good for your shoulders and your neck. Bring your forehead to the mat. Tuck your toes under and engage the muscles of your legs so that the knees lift up away from the floor, becoming as long as possible from your heels all the way to the crown of your head. Relax your feet and turn your head to the other side, to the left. Bring your forehead to the mat once again, moving so slowly. Once more, tucking your toes under, lifting your kneecaps away from the mat, and walking your toes forward just a fraction of an inch. Pressing your heels to the wall beyond the foot of your sticky mat, lengthening your spine, particularly through your cervical spine, taking the crown of your head towards the wall beyond the head of your mat. Great. Relax your feet, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and let's lift up onto our hands and our knees. Rocking back into child's pose. Oh. I want you to bring your arms around by your sides and let your shoulders just drip forward towards the floor. Now we'll prepare for thread the needle, placing your hands once more onto the sticky mat. Lift up onto your hands and your knees. And we'll start with our right arm first, threading the right arm between the left hand and the left knee, coming all the way down to your right shoulder. Oh, resting onto the right side of your head. And coming back to your hands and your knees. And we'll prepare for the other side. Taking your left hand between your right wrist and right knee, coming all the way down to your left shoulder, left side of your head. Press your right hand firmly into your mat so that you can bring your left hand onto the floor. And then we're going to have a seat just for about 2 minutes. Sit in a shape that works for you, maybe cross-legged or on the edge of a bolster. And with a tall, neutral spine, I'll have you take your right ear over your right shoulder. And if you'd like, you can bring your right hand up over your head. Take it just above your left ear, if it feels okay for you. And another experiment you can do is bring your left fingertips down to the floor and inch them slightly back, slightly behind you. You can nod your chin down or take it up, and these are micro movements. Just find that sweet spot along the left side of your neck, shoulder. And bring your right fingertips to your right temple. And using the support of your hand, lift your head up. Bring your hands to your lap and just take about 10 seconds and notice what, if anything, is different along the channels of your cervical spine, from your shoulder, maybe even from your upper lung, all the way up into the crown of your head. Take our left ear over our left shoulder now. And remember your options to experiment with. You can bring your left hand just above your right ear. Maybe take your left fingertips to the floor behind you. placing your left fingertips to the left side of your head. Lift your head up. And bring your hands to your lap. And observe what you feel, where you feel, how you feel. Okay. So now we're going to use both of our bolsters. If you have two, you'll take the round bolster to the foot of your mat. Bring your rectangle bolster just to your side on standby. If you're only working with one bolster, don't worry about the bolster at the foot of your mat. Move your blanket back. You won't be using it. Then I'm going to have you come onto your back with your knees bent and your feet to the floor. Press into your heels. Lift your hips so that you can slide the rectangle bolster across your lower back and your tush. We're coming into a supported bridge pose called Setubandha Sarvangasana. And right now, just keep your knees bent. Let's get a sense of what's going on in the neck and the shoulders. So there's a bit of a drop of your chin towards your throat. That's fine. Those of you who are well endowed might be feeling a little claustrophobic. If you can stay with it, go for it. So long as you have open channel, open airway. Very much lengthening the back of the neck, the cervical spine, the muscles along the posterior of the neck and the shoulders. Now, if your lower back is totally good with this, there's no agitation or aggravation, then give this a shot. Take your legs down the length of your mat, resting the backs of your ankles at your Achilles tendon, right? So right at that curve of your ankles, resting them on your bolster. And if you're only working with one bolster, you can still stretch your legs down the length of the mat. Just notice how that feels. But I'll tell you, as somebody who deals with back crap all the time, if your low back starts giving you sass, you gotta bend your knees. Don't sacrifice your back for what you think is some glorified shape or the pose. It's just not worth it. From here, you can bring your arms by your sides, or you can take them out like a T, or you can take them up like a cactus. And as your chin drops towards your chest, there's also a rising of your sternum towards your chin. Again, so long as you have clear and open airway, no sense of anxiety or panic through the neck or the throat. Great, we're going to stay put for a bit. So again, I'll invite you to keep an eye on your lower back. And how are things going in your mouth right now? Your jaw, your tongue, your teeth? And what adjustments or arrangements can you make to provide some space in your jaw, in your mouth? Imagine that you could lift the palate upwards towards your brain or your skull, creating more space in your mouth. What you're hearing is the sound of my dog snoring. If you can hear that. That is one contented bulldog. If your legs are straight, please bend your knees. Set your feet onto the floor. Bring your hands to your bolster that's under your back. Lift your hips. Slide the bolster forward towards your heels until you can bring your lower back and your bum down to the floor. Keeping your knees bent, you'll set your feet onto that bolster. Reach out and find your strap. We're going to spend a couple of minutes lengthening the back of our neck even more. So we've done this only a couple of times in this class. You take your big loop and first draw your knees to your chest. Take the loop over the balls of your feet. And then take the other end of the loop. Take your chin to your chest, lifting your head. And place the loop just over the back of your skull. The strap comes above your ears, kind of right into the crease of your ear. But it maintains in the back of your head. It rubs right along that occipital ridge, just below that occipital ridge. So now, when you straighten your legs, you have that traction, bringing your chin to your chest. And letting your feet traction the back of your neck. Now, if you can reach your tail of your strap, you can always tighten it up if you want. And then when you feel secure, really important that you feel secure. Chin is down, strap is along the base of your occipital ridge, or rather just below. Bring your arms down by your sides with your palms turned up. And with your legs straight and your feet pressing towards the foot of your mat, towards the wall beyond the foot of your mat, you can manipulate the amount of traction you get along the back of your neck. And you can experiment with bending one knee at a time, pressing into the opposite foot so that you get a little turn from side to side with your head. All the while, your head is supported in the strap. And if you like that little turn from side to side, would you stay put on one side for a couple of breaths before going to the other side? All this takes is a bend to one knee and more pressure in the opposite foot. Move your lower jaw back and forth a couple of times. Bring your hands to your strap, one hand on either side. You're going to use the power of your hands and your arms to keep your head lifted. Head remains cradled in the strap. Simply draw your knees to your chest so that you can remove your feet from the strap. Set your feet onto your bolster and then slowly lower your head down to the floor. And then you can let go of the strap. You can take your legs out over both of these bolsters. So one bolster supports the back of your thighs and knees. The other one supports your ankles. Let your arms rest at your sides and feel that rush of blood flow into the back of your neck, up into your head. Give yourself 7 or 8 deep, rich, full breaths. And then you can begin to relinquish the control of your breath. Simply allow it to fall into its own rhythm. Let it become lighter, softer, almost transparent. Start to move your fingers and your toes. Lifting your knees one at a time, set your feet to your bolster once more. Rock yourself over to your favorite side. And I want your head to be the very last part of you that comes up. Slowly drag it upright until it lands just above your shoulders. Yeah, good. And once you come up, ooh la la, bring your hands together. Take the base of your thumbs to your third eye. May we have a balanced mind as we move into the weekend. Drop your fingertips to your lips. May we have balance in our words. Finally, settle your hands to your heart. May we have a balanced heart, balanced with our mind and our words. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you sleep well. I hope your neck is okay. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.